Guys and girls, there are only 100 days between us and Pokemon Sword and Shield. So it's only fitting that Pokemon dropped a whole lot of knowledge onto our very, very excited faces by revealing a 2-minute trailer here in the United States and a 3-minute and 9-second trailer over in Japan. It's a little obvious who they like better, but today we're discussing all of it and giving you our thoughts. I am joined by the one and only Joseph, who you're basically a Pokemon master in your own right.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for that term. I'll definitely adopt that. Never used term before.
So Joseph, if you don't know, Joseph is he actually helped out at E3 with some of the Pokemon coverage, and he is kind of, like I said, kind of a pro. So he's going to be helping us roll through what we got, and boy, did we get what I think is some really, I was going to say surprising, but it's a little hard to say surprising when that leak just gets so much right. We'll get to that in a bit. I want to start with what I think is the coolest reveal, and you guys let us know in the comments down below what you think was the best part of the trailer, and of course the updated website, because Joseph, with these things you got to go to the site. Like, if you're not going to the site, you're not getting all of it.
Yeah, you really aren't. I mean,
especially
so
if you're in the US.
Yeah, we actually got ads the whole minute, so
yeah, you got to go to that site for those Poke Jobs. But what I think is the coolest thing, and we'll get to wheezing next, but the fact that there is a specific evolution based on Galarian forms, that's so awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we've never seen anything like this. Obviously, we've seen the form changes back with Alola, and so seeing that come back was already cool, because I know the Alolan forms were something that people really enjoyed, because it, gave a breath of fresh air to old Pokemon that people missed. And
right.
So seeing that that's coming back is awesome, especially because it looks like it's multiple generations of Pokemon. And yeah, so now seeing that there's also evolutions specific to the Galarian forms, honestly crazy, and something I didn't think was going to happen, but it honestly made sense. And so to see ZigZaGoon have a third evolution, even if it is just in Galar, I mean, I think it's something that probably saved the game for a lot of people. It looks like.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to save me from Obstagoon. I think he's gonna definitely take my lunch money. He looks like a bad dude. He does not look like a happy guy. We were talking about how many dark Pokemon there are already, and if that'll continue, this region is just, I don't know. It's not the happiest place.
Yeah, clearly something's going on.
But I really like that they are going to have these new evolutions. And as you mentioned, the promise of them pulling from a bunch of different gens is really cool. We'd heard a rumor that it was only going to be from Gen 2, and clearly that's not the case.
Yeah.
So I love the new newly color schemed ZigZaGoon line. I freaking wheezing with that smokestack top hat. Dude, I love that they're just so on point with this industrial British vibe.
They checked all the marks with him. They made sure.
They hit that so hard. He's freaking awesome. But I do want to focus on your concern about the eyebrows.
Oh, yes. I did mention that the small one definitely, I don't know if that design choice was the smartest one, but they definitely made it. So that's there.
He's got the gaseous mustache and then also the gaseous eyebrows. He's just it's a lot. But I like that he's a poison fairy. That's pretty cool.
Very cool.
And he's got a mysterious ability that we don't know what it could be. Maybe it has to do with the eyebrows. Maybe it has to do with something else.
I can only hope. I do hope it is a brand new ability, special to him, rather than them just being oh well, it also has sturdy now. But yeah, they definitely just made him tall, dark, and handsome. Good on him. He's really doing it.
I'm excited for the rest of these, because so far I think these are really great. And honestly, yes, new Pokemon, brand new Pokemon from Gen 8 that have a full line is really cool. But this idea of new evolutions to past lines is, to me, almost more exciting to know that potentially one of your favorite lines now has a new form. That has quickly jumped to the top of what I can't wait to see more of.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that Pokemon used to do a lot more in the earlier generations, where they would kind of just touch up on older Pokemon. And I'm glad to see that even with not every Pokemon returning, they're focusing on giving us the best versions of these older Pokemon that we're seeing. Like ZigZaGoon is a Pokemon I always loved the design of, but it just never really took me. And now, I mean, this little guy looks so cool, and with a third Evo, I mean, it's super cool to see this Pokemon get, like I said before, new life, breathed into it.
Oh, wow. Man, really taking that switch pun really far. Breath of the Wild there. I like it a lot. Intentional or not, that was genius.
Yep, that was totally
it looks
planned.
like the genius leaker has given us even more Galarian forms, and it looks like Farfetch'd, if this leak is to be believed, which at this point, everything is true. And we'll cover that a little later in the video, but Farfetch'd is supposed to get a Galarian form, and then also a new evolution called Surfetch'd, which you have a theory about.
I do indeed have a theory. So what I was telling Zach earlier was that I think it would be pretty cool if he evolved into being one of those British guardsmen. I don't know what they're called.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna just throw that out there. But I do see it having the huge hat, that huge black furry hat, maybe a reddish color scheme to match the coat, and then the little leak that it has could be shaped like a musket because Pokemon and their weapons.
Yeah, I mean the Royal Guard over there have a very specific look, and Farfetch'd he'd probably feel pretty cool about being one of those.
Yeah,
I think he'd like that a lot. I think he'd like that a lot. I know that you also, and I'm sure a lot of other people, are also going to like Morpeko, who is this form-changing Pokemon. And if you dig into the website, you get to know all the details, which is that it's able to switch back and forth from full belly to hangry mode, which, yes, that's a win. But it does this based on an ability. So every turn, it's swapping between full belly and hangry. And what that does is it modifies its signature move, Aura Wheel, taking it from electric to dark and then back to electric again.
Yeah, which is, honestly, this is the first instance we've seen, something like this to this, I guess. We've seen moves that change based on certain aspects of a Pokemon. But to have this Pokemon that changes typing every turn, not only is that just interesting because we've never seen something like that to this extent, but also it makes the game more interesting because obviously with type advantages and disadvantages, one turn you're going to have this little electric thing, and then the next turn you're going to have a little dark thing. And to have a move that bases around it is just, I mean, this game has already blown me away with its designs of this generation. I think I've liked pretty much every single one. So I'm glad to see we added not only another strong contender to possibly being my new favorite Pokemon, but it also has an interesting ability. And that to me is just really cool. And it's
Who
a
would
little
have thought
Pikachu thing.
that on August 7th, Yamper would be overtaken?
I know, so soon. Yamper, RIP, my homie. Still my second favorite. He's still going to be on my team. Fetch those Pokeballs for me. But
I'll be curious if like this changing form, like long term, is viewed as like a strategic advantage or a strategic disadvantage where people like stay away from it. It's like, I don't want something that I can't fully control.
Yeah, and that's definitely going to be interesting to see because, like you said, I mean, because you can't control it, it does have this interesting aspect of like, oh, I don't know if I could do this because I don't know if a turn I want a Dark type. But also being the mystery bots Pokemon, that it's turning out to be, it could work in your favor because other people can't really plan around it. So really just a cool Pokemon, and it's cute. So definitely good in my book.
I want to know if there's any other like emotional states that are going to affect Pokemon. Like this guy gets hungry and not hungry. Is there a Pokemon that gets like happy and sad? Is there a Pokemon that like gets very passive aggressive and then releases it all? Like how does that work?
I would absolutely love that. I know we had one Pokemon. We had Dormanitan from Gen 5 who he had like his fighting fire type, but then when he got like nervous or something, he went into Zen mode, which made him a psychic fire type. That was really the only time I've seen anything similar to this. But again, this changes based on like the turn, and also it has the name. It has the term hangry in its form change, which is hilarious to me. I want to know if it's gonna have an evolutionary line, and if these two forms have anything to do with it. Like, hey, maybe if you get a certain number of KOs with its dark form, it evolves into this. or if you get a certain number of KOs with its, electric form, it evolves into this. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
I don't really see that happening, but if it does, that'd be sick, and I'd be with it for sure.
Yeah, or maybe depending on I could see like certain conditions allowing it to evolve in full belly mode or evolve in hangry mode and that affecting it. But hey, if you're looking for a reason to love Joseph, it's because he just pulled Darmanitan from Gen 5 out of his hat. And
yeah, I only did that one to win over people.
Hey, I think it's already working. Speaking of work, Pokejobs is a thing. Yes. It's a thing where now you're going to be able to go talk to Ratomi in the Pokemon centers and find jobs for your people. If sitting in balls and fighting at your command wasn't enough of a task, now you can send them out to do the work that humans don't want to work. And it looks like this is going to allow them to gain experience and also items. And they describe on the website that certain Pokemon are more suited for certain types of jobs, and you can send them for long periods of time or even multiple Pokemon on the same job, and that will probably get you better items, rarer items, depending on how many resources you commit to each job.
Yeah. Now, this is honestly probably the coolest thing that wasn't mentioned to us.
Yeah.
One of the funny things that I'm thinking about now is this definitely adds credence to Farfetch'd becoming a Royal Guard, because he can work that job.
That's his job, yeah, exactly.
But another thing that this brings to light, funny enough, is that maybe this is why all the Pokemon are turning into Dark types. Not only are we using them to fight, but we're making them work for us. I mean, all the items they get, we definitely take. So I mean, these Pokemon, they're going to rise up. I don't know if we're treating them right. I think we're pushing them.
It's very reminiscent of like systems in like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood or games of that sort, where you send off kind of your squad to build XP and sort of gain resources passively. And I love the descriptions. Like, for example, Macrocosmos Construction really wants muscular Pokemon, and they need 7 of them. So like just the whole shtick here is really good. Or there's one that says like Tuffield Orchards really needs help on our farm. Please send X number of Pokemon. There's one that says please help protect our investments. I'm trying to think of what financial Pokemon, the brainiest Pokemon we have.
Yeah,
pretty.
They just bring in a Meowth because he has the coin on his head.
Pretty good. There's also one that says we need some nets, and I don't know if like you're going to be sending Pokemon that can hold nets, or you're sending Pokemon that can serve as nets. Like, hey, I've got this Tentacool, and he's got tentacles, so he can probably catch stuff. Like, throw him out there and see what he can do.
Yeah, and you know what? That brings up a good question that I have is, obviously they're looking for certain Pokemon in particular, but I wonder if we have the freedom to try to send any Pokemon and just see, like, maybe there's a rating system to see how good they did. So let's say, you come up with the idea like, hey, they need nets, let me send in my Tentacool. Obviously, maybe that's something that they weren't thinking, but it works out well.
I thought it made sense.
It absolutely makes sense.
They say that you'll receive rewards depending on how long they work and their type. So it sounds like you're spot on. There probably is going to be a basic matching system.
Yeah.
That does allow, like, hey, obviously if I go and send my Ghastly over to the Macrocosmos construction site, like, probably not going to get a lot of good work done. So probably gonna come back with only a couple XP. But if I go and send my Hitmonchan, then maybe they'll be a little happier. But I hope that Pokemon can maintain their happiness through these jobs. We know that happiness is going to be hard to maintain with Team Yell around, because they are the faction of distraction here, and it really seems more like distraction than evilness. So they introduced 2 new rivals. We got Bede and Marnie, and Marnie is kind of this like cool, calm, but very competitive girl who has her own fandom, I guess, and that's Team Yell, and they pop up when she pops up, which is kind of like a new way of introducing a gang.
Yeah, I think this is the first time. Obviously, we've had kind of silly teams, like we had Team Flare, who were basically just fashion people. I mean, although it got a lot darker than that, but Team Yell, I think, definitely takes the cake for the least worrisome villains. They literally just want to root for this possibly 10-year-old girl. So good for her that she has a whole fan base.
They've got posters. It's like, what is going on here, guys?
And I really do love that. It looks like when you battle Marnie, they're not too far. So you could actually see them in the background of certain shots rooting for her, which is just really cool. And I think makes it feel so much more cohesive. It makes the battles feel a lot more interesting. And I do wonder, how exactly do we interact with them? Because, it goes out of its way to tell us, especially on the site, that they don't mean bad. They mean well. They're just trying to, have their fandom, but They definitely cause some, distraction, as you said, I'm sure. Dude. So I do wonder, to what extent do we battle them? Is it just when Marnie's around, or do we have to, maybe sometimes they're lingering around stadiums and we have to take them out before we can enter?
I've got an answer for you. I've got a direct answer from the copy of the website. Team Yell will take over hotel lobbies, prevent challengers from accessing transportation, and even shout and distract opponents during battle.
Wow.
So there you go. So you might just run into a hotel, as you do in Galar, and find a whole lot of these guys. I love that they picked Marnie print towels. It's actually not a poster. It's a freaking printed towel. So that's so specific. So specific. Also, as you mentioned, this is a potentially 10-year-old girl, so it's a little odd. It's a little, I mean, hey, at least it's not a body pillow, right?
Which I thought it was when it first came up. I was very worried.
I'm more worried about Bede, though, honestly, Joseph, because one, Bede doesn't have a fan club, so obviously frustration will set in at some point.
Of course.
Bede also stands I've learned from years of video games that you always watch out for the people that have the pose where they're looking over their shoulder. If their back is to you, something's not right.
Yeah, that's definitely the untrustworthy pose.
He's got a back fanny pack, which also is super untrustworthy. I don't like that. But it does say that Bede has got his endorsement from Chairman Rose. He is obviously challenging to become a champion of the Pokemon League here in Galar. But it says he seems to have other objectives as well, ... which leads us to this thought that maybe Team Yell isn't the only negative or, I guess, combative force in the game.
Yeah, and I think anytime you follow up a design that looks like that, and then in the synopsis of them, you add the triple dot, definitely doesn't bode well. Especially his name is Bede. Let's just be honest now. But I do find it interesting that they do go out of the way to say that Chairman Rose is the one who endorsed him, because obviously endorsements in this game do matter. Whoever you get endorsed by is kind of your sponsor throughout you going through the league. So to be sponsored by the chairman of the league itself, I don't know. It definitely raises some flags, and he doesn't look like the nicest guy. Even his color scheme is villain-esque, let's be honest. So yeah, this guy's 2 steps away from being the villain. I'ma just commit and be him and Leon are probably the bad guys, and Chairman Rose. Even Chairman Rose's assistant, that I forget her name off the top. I don't have it in front of me.
Oleana.
I mean, she looks evil as well. Can we just agree that these are the evil guys, and Team Yell is just a bunch of people who idolize a 10-year-old?
Well, Chairman Rose, he pimped out Leon, who you're also suspicious of. Leon being the first champion, the undefeated Charizard champion over here. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely something, I don't know, it's not too far-fetched or Sir-fetched to say that we're gonna potentially face off against Chairman Rose as the final encounter, the final battle. I don't that could be a thing. But TBD on the villainry in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Let's talk a little bit about this leak now, because there's been a lot of rumors, a lot of leaks. Obviously, we mentioned the one about 17 Galarian forms, all from Gen 2, and maybe some of them are in there, but it's clearly not just Gen 2. This leak, though, that came out a long way back, has confirmed so much, straight up to the point of direct copy, where it says Bede gets an endorsement from Chairman Rose. That is what they exactly say on the website. So, one, hard to say that this leak isn't straight up real information. And then two, what else strikes you? Because there's only a few things left, but what else strikes you as exciting upcoming features probably revealed from this leak?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing for me is, again, like you said, obviously at this point we have to look at this leak and just accept it as fact. Every trailer we've done has just brought us one step closer into proving that this person is absolutely right and was right for months. I think one of the interesting things, and I brought this up to you while we were watching the trailer, is they did mention the Surfetched, of course, which in the post did hint at the fact that it was a Galar region specific evolution, which up until this point we didn't even know that there was going to be Galar forms. So to be so right about that, I do wonder if the people, you know, the team who worked on the trailers didn't add Surfetch to this trailer to specifically, you know, avoid being, I guess, given away too early. I do wonder to what extent they chose, like, okay, let's have Weezing and ZigZaGoon.
Right.
But yeah, so I think
kind of throw people off the trail and not just play into this leak. You know,
exactly, like kind of confirming what they need to with the Galar evolutions, but also not immediately giving away their hand. But regardless, there are some things that haven't been confirmed yet that I do find really interesting. We do know about the potential third gym leader, Kaboo, and the fourth gym leader, Opal, who is a fairy gym leader. The Kaboo didn't get mention of what type of gym. But so, I mean, potentially we have our first 4 gym leaders. And of course we have B or Bia, or however you pronounce her name, and Alistair, who are, I'm guessing, either the 5th gym, like at least the 5th gym leader, and their version exclusives. So I'm interested in seeing when we're going to get the reveal of these gym leaders, as well as I think the biggest thing for me is mention of Eternatus, which is a new evil legendary. Now, obviously, Pokemon does have this thing where usually we'll see our 2 legendaries who are, you know, specific to the type of game, but there's usually a 3rd legendary to kind of keep them in check, you know. And this is going all the way back to, I want to say, Ruby and Sapphire, with like Rayquaza being the kind of boss, the big secret boss monster. So it is interesting to know that we are getting that again with Eternatus, but I want to know, where does that fit in? Because we don't exactly know, you know, with every legendary, we kind of understood their lore. Like, there was a reason for them to exist. In this game, we don't exactly know the lore. It's just a dog with a sword and a dog with a shield. So I do wonder what Eternatus, you know, what their whole thing is. And the fact that it's an evil legendary, I don't think we've ever seen like a specifically evil legendary. We have things like Darkrai, which, you know, is the Grim Reaper, I guess. But this says evil legendary, which... Yeah.
Could it tie into some corrupt scheme that's going on with the Pokemon League and with Chairman Rose and Leon and all that? I think that's very interesting. And you know, you've got the Fairy Gym with Opal. You've got Kabu, as you mentioned. There's also the Chipmunk Pokemon, who I'm surprised didn't show up in this one. I thought because they'd been teased in the stadium on some of the T-shirts that we would see them. And there's also then the feature that kind of goes along, I guess, with the Squovet and Greedent reveal about shaking trees for berries.
Yeah.
And I like what you said about that, too, of like that feature seems like maybe a bigger deal than just a bullet point. And if it could potentially lead to some sort of camping or some way to take advantage of berries in a deeper way than just go shake the trees because you really want to max out your berry pouch.
Yeah, exactly. And I think my thought process behind it is, as I said before, if you're in the wilderness, you know, you're stuck in the wild, you don't want to go all the way back to the Pokemon Center to heal. So I think camping would be something that not only I think everyone would welcome to the series, just because it makes it feel a lot more immersive, but it serves like an actual purpose to, you know, keep people from, oh, well, now I got to leave the wild to come back. But yeah, I did find it interesting how we did see Morpeko, who is kind of a chipmunk, but it doesn't fall in line with the 2 that were in the league. So
so many chipmunks.
Yeah,
so
we're getting
rodents.
a lot of rodents. Yeah,
a lot of dark Pokemon, a lot of rodents. I don't know what this says.
I don't know what they're
about
trying to say
Galar.
about the UK, but
yeah, exactly. Very interesting. I'll also point out, this is like a very small aside, but one I wanted to mention. People were calling a little attention to it. There's one shot in the trailer with like a golden statue, and it's a very like, he almost looks as if he's like from like the Middle Ages or medieval times, and we do have Pokemon Sword and Shield, so I'm curious how that's all going to, like, as you mentioned, like, tie in. Like, how does the lore sort of play into this? Where does sort of that all, show up? Because it's not Team Yell. They're not on the grand scheme. So, like, we still TBD on kind of the main, like, plot points of this game.
Yeah, and I think they've definitely been doing that more recent with the games, because, of course, with Sun and Moon, we had Team Skull, which they made to seem like, was the worst thing possible. It's just a gang of thugs. But in reality, the final, fight, or the final conflict had almost nothing to do with the team. It was a lot more grand and a lot more dark than I think anybody was really prepared for. So I am interested in seeing if they're going to continue that route. You quickly mentioned that they might go the route of, obviously we were just kind of joking around and riffing off of it, but if they go the route of, like, hey, maybe it's not as deep as, other Pokemon games, maybe this is just all surface level stuff. I truly hope that that's not the case. I think that they can subvert our expectations and, possibly give us a good story and something that has a little bit more bite into it. But yeah, I think there's a lot of pieces that we can't put together yet. And that's interesting. That's really cool.
It's super exciting, and we thought that today might be the day where we get to see the evolutions of the starters, and that definitely was not a thing. So there's plenty more to be revealed, and I'm sure they'll have plenty more opportunities, whether it's at a full-blown Nintendo Direct with a new trailer, or whether they just continue to do these research updates. I guess that's what I wanted to end on. Like, do you like this format?
I think I both like it, and of course there's a little bit, like, I would like to see more. I think the format is interesting because there is still hype around it. They do still, like, a week ahead, they're like, hey, we're going to put this up at this time. I will say it is a different feeling from a Direct, because you're not, there's not a live chat, there's not, and there's just so much, there's like this stigma with a Direct where you just instantly get hyped about it. But for what it serves, I think it works perfectly. It's just a development, it's just us getting updated on new features and possibly new Pokemon that are coming out. And honestly, I think this is the best and fastest way for us to get that information. So as far as efficiency, I think it works perfect. I was still hyped when I got up in the morning. I was like, yep, I'm looking forward to this. So it did its job.
Yeah, I love the meta nature of calling it like a research update, because I feel like we every time have to research ourselves, like go to the website, read all the details, compare to the Japanese trailer, try to figure out what's going on, and maybe that's annoying for some people, but for me it's like kind of this fun thing of like, like it's just info dropped with very little verbiage, and you just suss out what you can. You figure out what the heck's going on with Bede and Marnie. You figure out what's ZigZaGoon up to, and then you go compare it to the now infamous leak and see what else is going to come soon, because that's kind of the way this goes. And we're getting up to the end, though. I will say that, like, this leak is running out of things, so at some point soon, like, it will be done, which I'm sure is sad for some people and exciting for others.
Yeah, I think it's both sad and exciting, because of course, we're gonna have to wait, just like how it was intended. So we're not going off much, but also having the surprises is just as exciting as finding out, because we're going to eventually find out. And going back to what you said, I do also agree that with the video dropping and then having to, go to the website and conduct even more research, it really is interesting, and something that I don't think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people, I wasn't doing it until you really told me to, like put me on to the fact that was even a thing. Yeah, go to the website, check it out. There's so much stuff that's left out. Even check out the Japanese trailer where they mention the jobs,
where they get an extra 69 seconds of Pokemon love. I don't understand that. It's so. I love your theory. You were like, maybe they just think like we're not capable of handling all of that info at once.
Yeah,
like, the Japanese audience is just smarter, or maybe they're frustrated with the American audience.
Yeah,
or maybe it's just like purely coincidental. But it's funny to speculate, and we'll speculate on the next one of these. We do have the jerseys that seem to hint at an end of August presentation of some sort. So maybe we'll get more then. In the meantime, though, let us know in the comments what you were most pumped about from today. Any interesting little details you may have noticed. Give us your review on Galarian Weezing's eyebrows, and make sure to let Joseph know that you appreciate his Darmanitan reference. I'm still so impressed by that.
All you Darmanitan fans out there, let me know you exist because I love that Pokemon.
All right, guys and girls, thanks so much for watching. Hope you're having a fantastic day and enjoyed this research update and our research on the research update. Until next time, for myself and Joseph and all the new Pokemon, SwitchForce out.